understanding of one word called Sat. And Sat means existence that does not become non-existence. Sat, written in English as SAT, but it's not SAT, but maybe it's SUT, Sat. It's not Sut also, but Sat. Sat is the opposite of Asat, which is maybe existence that comes and goes, like life comes and goes, birth and death, youth and old age, love and hatred. This is all Asat, whatever changes. And Sat never changes. Sat is underneath. So this is the third way of understanding Ishvara. Sat. Something that happens with Bhakti Yoga is that we believe in Sat. We don't get so caught up in Asat, the changeability, the transience, the impermanence. We don't bewail it. We don't lament it. Sat. That is why one of the terms for God in the Vedas is Sat. Pure, unviolable, unchanging existence. This existence itself is the birther of all existence. Beautiful to connect with Sat. That's one path that the yogis perfected. From Bhakti Yoga, a very related path is Karma Yoga, where once we start understanding Sat, we begin to live in the world as if inspired. Our acts become a contribution to Ishvara's theatre. We understand the sun, the moon, the stars, they're all contributing. These are not all just physical bodies hanging there, suspended in space. These are all the magnificent manifestation of Sat. And they are all contributing, and we can contribute too. So Karma Yoga makes us selfless. It makes us sattvic. And it sweetens our roles in life. So sattvic, selfless, sweet. Probably it changes our personality, I would say. So if I know that Ishvara dwells in me, that existence dwells in me, Ishvara dwells in you, then the pride of being the teacher, the superior knower of knowledge, where will it go? What room does it have? Then I can say, okay, I'm playing a role. I'm playing the role of a teacher. You are playing the role of a disciple or a student or a seeker. That Ishvara is playing these roles. Ishvara is becoming the guru. Ishvara is becoming the shishya. And we are playing roles. So when you play roles, then Karma Yoga helps us play out our roles with responsibility, with confidence, with boldness, but with sattvicness, with humbleness. So with sattvic tendencies, selfless tendencies, and sweetness. Where does the sweetness come from? From the knowledge that we are all sharing or living in the universe, which is none other, and in the bodies, which are none other, but gifts or manifestations of that ultimate Sat, that ultimate existence. So it's kind of Karma Yoga is kind of a lifestyle once you've imbued Bhakti Yoga. A third pathway that the yogis figured would be Upasana Yoga. Upasana Yoga is also known as Sadhana Yoga. So Upasana is a series of sadhanas for the body, for the mind, for the speech, for our relationships, for our connections with the universe from a sacred perspective. And these upasanas were taken up by the more advancing seekers. And I've been teaching a lot of these upasanas over the period of time in the Vedic way, like Gayatri Mantra chanting or the Jyoti sadhana. These are all sadhanas um, that that rise in the moment, and you go through them like, oh, I do this sadhana in the morning, I do this in the afternoon, I do this when I wake up, I look at my hands and I remember the goddesses. These are all sadhanas. So these are like you take them up because you are now very clear as a incumbent yogi yogini that, oh, I'm on this deeper journey and I don't want to get caught up in the worldly descriptions of who I am and in the worldly should haves, would haves, could haves. It's so suffocating. So you want to keep breathing. So every time you take up a sadhana, you're revitalizing your memory of your own quest and of that ultimate Sat, that ultimate existence, that ultimate Ishvara that dwells within you. Upasana Yoga starts preparing us, and we're doing really well. And the fourth yoga is Jnana Yoga, which then may take long or may take very less time based on how we have been with Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Upasana Yoga. We become fully primed. We become like a ripe fruit. And when a fruit is ripe, you don't have to wrestle it from the tree. It just falls on its own. So in Jnana Yoga, a teacher such as myself shall begin talking to you, just talking, and shall start reminding you that you are not this, you are not the body, you're not the mind, you're not the senses. And you'll hear it and it'll feel very relaxing. But if you've been primed and somebody who you trust, such as your teacher, shall speak to you through their speech, the final illusions shall disperse, and you will come more and more into that ultimate truth, that yoga, that state of yuj, that ultimate yoga between your outer personality, jiva, and your inner truth, atma, or your inner ishvara, or we have so many words. Probably we have a million words to explain this ultimate reality, that inner sat, then you will come into this complete, final, irrevocable state of yoga. These four journeys I am competent to provide you and humbled to lead you through. It is not necessary that a teacher takes a disciple or a seeker through all four journeys in one lifetime. It all depends, what is meant to be. But any journey we begin, such as Bhakti Yoga, we are now looking into. I like to take students into its deep ocean, become wet completely in it, lose our small identity, and begin to trust a greater existence, a greater intelligence, become more composed during the ups and downs of lives, through disease and health, through loss and gain, through divorce and marriage, through death and birth in the family. One becomes a little more philosophical, at the least, through these transitions. So we've begun the journey in good faith, and I hope, and I'm not sure where it will land, but whichever yogic pathway you are able to journey through the Vedic way with me, I know that this pathway will change your life, Each pathway gives many, many fruits to us, many, many blessings to us. And then if it is karmically meant to be, we proceed to the next one and we proceed to the next one. So we should not be in a sequential rush, but I invite you to start looking inwards in this Bhakti Yoga journey and towards a divinity that transcends religious, cultural, geographical boundaries. And even in the most darkest of moments, in the ugliest of circumstances, in the most hardest of person, if Ishvara is there, what is Ishvara telling you? What is Ishvara teaching you? What is Ishvara probably slapping you around to guide you into something else? Maybe become a roaring goddess or something is happening here. Nothing is random. And even the darkest of hours on earth is ultimately driven to active evolution. Because we humans have our ego, the wars Ishvara does not create, the hatred, the racial prejudice Ishvara doesn't create. Ishvara is blemishless. Ishvara is not creating what is known as human-made terrors. Ishvara's power has become usurped by the human ego. And we are the only species that has taken that inner power and morphed it into hatred and racial prejudice and nastiness and ugliness. And for that, we, the creation of Ishvara, is solely responsible. However, Ishvara is that ultimate existence, has the ultimate card. And so it is not impossible that we are doing our shenanigans of how to be the most cleverest species in the universe and how to be the smartest humans. And our nation is the highest and the biggest and the strongest. And then one tsunami and one mountain, explodes through a volcano. That's acts of nature, Ishvara. And our egos are, reduced and raised. So we have to see Ishvara carefully. When we see God as a person who's handing us out good and bad, then we say, oh, why is Ishvara hurting me? This is where Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, Jnana Yoga says, is Ishvara hurting me or is my ego hurting me? Because Ishvara has given me the intelligence, part of the existence is this intelligence, this mind, this intellect. What did I choose to feed? The light within me or the darkness within me? So the human being is the only creation of Ishvara that shares many of Ishvara's traits. So if Ishvara is macro, absolute existence, an absolute creator, we are mini creators, the human being. My dog is not a mini creator. His whole life is dependent on my decisions for him. But my life, Ishvara created all the circumstances, but my decisions decide my life. As a result, because of being mini Ishwaras in our own life, mini creators in our own life, we also reap those consequences. As a result, we should understand Ishvara. We should understand Ishvara's blessings of sattva versus rajas and tamas. We should understand the true nature of Ishvara, and we should align our ego with it so that due to the powers invested in us, we don't sabotage and ruin our own life. This is our responsibility. When something good happens to us, we say, thank God. And when something bad happens to us, we say, where is God? How bad is God? This version of God, good and bad, evil and good, we have to remove. We have to understand Ishvara as pure existence, pure intelligence. And that existence, intelligence dwells in a high level within us as Rajas, Tamas, or Sattva. And now begins the journey of choice. This is where a teacher is important, a community is important for reminders, and a deeper journey definitely yields truth as the first sign of this yogic journey with me would be that you stop sabotaging your own life. That's for sure. At least that will begin. And a time comes when the same human ego evolves in Ishvara's alignment and harmony so much that you are called a living God. You become a benefactor and a changer of lives. So it really is, how aligned are you to that light, to that truth? And how far are you from it? If you are far from it, come back. You're not a permanent sinner. Just come back. You're lost. And once you're back, move forward. That is the invitation. Now, in conclusion, unfortunately, in the Western world and in the current India also, people have forgotten these yogas. And many gurus are just picking up one yoga and they keep talking about it. There'll be a guru on Bhakti Yoga, there'll be a guru on Karma Yoga. Bhakti Yoga has been reduced to, what is Bhakti Yoga? Kirtan, chanting, jamming, jam sessions. What is Karma Yoga? Just do some voluntary service. What is Upasana Yoga? Most people don't even know that term. But what is sadhana? Whatever sadhana they want to teach, they teach it, and then they even sell it. They make a formula out of it, and then they sell it, and you get all these intensives to learn these upasanas, and they become the ultimate truth. And then Jnana Yoga is less polluted out in the world because most teachers don't understand Jnana Yoga enough to package it. It is so subtle that it has not been able to be, turned into a formula or packaged and sold in like a 3-step journey to nirvana or moksha. But I'm seeing some attempts happen there also. And more sadly, I see how Jnana Yoga or Advaita Vedanta or what is known as non-duality is taught in the West. And just some excerpts are picked up and they become minimized. And there is a new field called Neo-Vedanta, which I have criticized in Sovereign Self because I felt it was my duty to criticize it, critique it rather, more than criticize it. So it's just they pick up a bunch of random concepts from here and there, and they tout it as the ultimate truth. The world is crawling with the diluted, misinterpreted, minimized, formalized teachings of the yogas. I wouldn't say I'm the only teacher who does the authentic work, but teachers like myself are far and few, and seekers like yourself are far and few. Let us hold this space, this Vedic way, deeply sacred, so that we can really benefit from this opportunity. And you have the benefit of someone like me showing up in your life. So that's something that's interesting, that in the theater of your existence, I am there. And in the theater of my existence, you are there. Let us suffuse it with yoga. So I invite you back into this yogic journey. And once again, on Makar Sankranti, we will renew our vows. That is called the Vedic New Year because we are light chasers. As you saw in the opening prayers, that we also, along with our ancestor teachers, we also bow to the Surya. So we are, there are two types of lineages One is the moon lineage and one is the sun lineage. So I belong to the Surya Vansha, the sun lineage. Both are sources of light, but we are definitely followers of the sun. And that is why Gayatri Mantra is very important in my lineage. Another mantra to the sun. And waking up in the morning, greeting the sun, finding that sun within, finding the light within. Those are going to be important hallmarks of your journey. So with that, I conclude, and I bless each one of you with a wonderful cycle around the sun, a brand new one in 2024. And through this cycle, we shall be exploring more and more beautiful facets of Bhakti Yoga. The more you can become absorbed in the Bhakti teachings, the more you will benefit from its fruits. Take care, everyone. Jai Ma.